Welcome to Afterlife Message, where we explore incredible stories of second chances, the afterlife, and the mysteries beyond. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the bell icon so you never miss a moment of these fascinating journeys. Let us begin the discussion.
Hey everyone, ready for something pretty amazing? We're diving into a story about a near-death experience and the spiritual journey that followed.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. The source material is fascinating, talks about messages from ancient spirits.
Oh, wow.
The idea of inheriting memories from past lives and a call for self-sustainability. Ever feel like you don't quite fit in with the modern world?
Yeah, like there's gotta be a deeper way to live.
Right. Well, this story might really resonate with you.
I'm all ears.
Okay, so it all starts with a serious illness. The guy's hospitalized multiple times and even discovers he's allergic to Western medicine.
Wow, so he's being pushed away from conventional treatment?
Exactly. It's like he's being guided towards something else. And then at the peak of his illness, this 10-foot-tall spirit appears at the foot of his bed.
Whoa, hold on, a 10-foot-tall spirit?
Yeah, can you imagine?
It's pretty intense.
He's in disbelief at first, but when his condition gets worse and he's sent home, the spirit returns.
And this time?
This time there's a sense of acceptance. Like he knows this encounter is important, especially as he's nearing death.
So what happens next?
He describes this feeling of leaving his body like he's slipping away. The spirit extends its hand and boom, they're flying.
Flying, wow.
They land on his property, this huge ranch, and that's when things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
The spirit starts clearing the land of what it calls energetic remnants from past civilizations.
Energetic remnants, like echoes of the past?
Exactly. Imagine the land as a recording device holding onto the memories and emotions of everything that's happened there.
So it's not just about physical land, but about the energy it holds.
Right. The spirit says this is sacred ground that needs to be cleansed.
I wonder what kind of energetic remnants might be lingering in the places we inhabit every day.
That's a great question. So we have this 10-foot-tall spirit clearing the ranch of ancient energies. A pretty powerful image.
Totally.
What happens next?
Their journey continues to a campfire where they meet 12 Native American elders sitting in a circle.
These elders become his guides, sharing ancient wisdom with him every night for 13 nights.
Wow, that's like a crash course in ancient knowledge.
He describes it as a download of high-frequency information, a super intense transfer of knowledge that his body struggles to contain.
Download, that's an interesting way to put it.
Right, it's like the knowledge is being imprinted directly onto his consciousness.
I see what you mean. So much information so fast, it actually makes him sick.
Exactly. It really highlights the difference between how we usually learn and this direct energetic transmission.
Fascinating. So how does he handle this?
To help him process it all, the spirit creates a physical seed containing each chapter's information.
A seed? You mean like a literal seed?
Yeah, he describes it as glowing and otherworldly. It's like getting a flash drive filled with ancient wisdom.
Amazing. What happens with the elders?
On the 7th night, things get even more intense. There's a big celebration, and he learns that this is his night of rites.
His night of rites.
It's an initiation. She's about to be inducted into a lineage of healers and wisdom keepers.
That's a huge shift. He goes from passive receiver to active participant.
Exactly. This initiation marks a turning point. He's not just learning, he's making a commitment.
Yeah, what kind of commitment is it?
He's being initiated as a shaman's shaman.
A shaman's shaman? What does that even mean?
It means he's tasked with protecting ancient medicinal plants and establishing a center to share this knowledge.
So he's inheriting a legacy, a responsibility to safeguard this knowledge for future generations.
It's like he's becoming a guide for other healers, a mentor who understands both the plants and the spiritual journey.
It's all starting to connect. Now, I'm really curious about the actual content of this ancient wisdom. What are the elders teaching him?
They're sharing a ton of insights about consciousness, the universe intuition, living in harmony with nature.
Big topics.
He learns secrets about past lives, the energy body, and deeper levels of healing.
Wow, a complete reframing of how we understand ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. He describes it as a basic manual for how humans used to understand existence, a way of life we've lost touch with.
A basic manual. Intriguing. So this knowledge he's getting is like a blueprint for a more authentic way of life.
You got it. And he believed this knowledge holds the key to healing ourselves and creating a more sustainable future.
Okay, now I'm really hooked. There's so much to unpack here.
Absolutely. But before we get into that, I'm curious about the universe's role in all of this.
Yeah.
The speaker mentions the universe as a tunnel. What do you make of that?
Well, he describes it as having different sections, each with its own energies that influence life on Earth and human consciousness.
So it's not just about our planet, but about where we fit in this larger cosmic structure.
And he believes that Earth recently entered a new section of this tunnel.
Right. What do you think that means for us?
He thinks it's causing a global awakening, a heightened awareness of spiritual truths, and a longing for deeper meaning.
But he also says it's creating division, as some embrace this shift while others resist it.
It's like we're at a crossroads, a point of divergence.
Exactly. And this division, he says, is playing out on a global scale.
Wow. It's all starting to make sense. Now I'm really curious about the rest of his journey.
Me too. But before we get into that, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the idea that illness is a sign of straying from one's soul path.
Right. He believes illness isn't just a physical malfunction, but a message from our soul, a signal that we're out of alignment.
So it's not something to fear, but an opportunity to grow and change.
Exactly. It's a call to realign, to examine our choices and course correct.
But how do we know if we're on the wrong path? What are the signs?
He says illness often comes from carrying unprocessed emotions and unresolved trauma, not just from this life, but also from past lives.
Past lives. You mean like we inherit memories and patterns from our past lives?
Yes, and he believes these can influence our current health and well-being.
So it's not just about recognizing these past life influences, but about understanding their purpose and learning from them.
Exactly. It's like we're given a chance to heal old wounds and rewrite the script.
That's a powerful concept. So how do we actually do this? How do we realign with our soul's purpose in a world that feels so chaotic?
That's where he offers some practical guidance. He shares 4 principles for present living that he says were channeled to him during his spiritual journey.
So these principles are like a roadmap for navigating this complex world and aligning with our true purpose.
Exactly, and they're quite profound.
Okay, I'm ready to hear more. What's the first principle?
The first principle is to reject clock time. He believes constantly adhering to schedules and deadlines limits our ability to think freely and intuitively.
Yeah, I can see that. We're always rushing, always checking the clock.
Right. He says that by loosening our grip on the clock, we create space for intuition and spontaneity.
So it's about finding that balance, honoring our commitments, but also being open to unexpected opportunities.
Exactly. He shares stories about how ignoring the clock and following his intuition led to amazing outcomes.
Really? Like what?
Well, in one instance, he got to the post office way after closing time, but the head postmaster was still there and willing to accept his packages.
Wow. So by surrendering to the flow of events, he opened himself up to possibilities that wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Precisely. That's the power of rejecting clock time. Okay, ready for principle number 2?
Hit me with it.
The second principle is to not count money.
Not count money. That's a tough one.
He says focusing on accumulating wealth limits our perspective and prevents us from receiving abundance in other forms.
So it's not about rejecting money altogether, but about not letting it be our primary focus.
Exactly. When we obsess over money, we create a mindset of scarcity.
I see what you mean. So what's the alternative?
He encourages us to shift our focus to gratitude for what we already have, to recognize that true abundance comes from within, from a heart filled with love appreciation and a willingness to share our gifts.
It's a beautiful concept, but definitely a challenge in our material world.
He also reminds us that the earth provides everything we need, and that we have a right to access these resources freely.
It's like we've forgotten that we're part of nature, not separate from it.
Exactly. Okay, are you ready for principle number 3?
Bring it on.
The third principle is to abandon the future.
Wait, what? Abandon the future? How is that even possible?
He's not saying we shouldn't plan or set goals, but he says worrying about the future steals our joy from the present moment, the only moment we truly have control over.
That's true. We spend so much time thinking about what's next that we forget to appreciate what's happening right now.
Exactly. He encourages us to surrender to the flow of life, to embrace the unknown, and to trust that everything is unfolding as it should.
So it's about letting go of control and trusting in the wisdom of the universe.
You got it. He says that when we let go of our need to control, we open ourselves up to incredible possibilities.
Wow, it's like stepping out of the driver's seat and letting the universe take the wheel.
Exactly. Okay, ready for the final principle?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
The fourth principle is to eliminate negative thoughts.
Easier said than done, right?
He emphasizes that our thoughts have power. They create our reality. When we dwell on negativity, we attract more negativity.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do we break free from negative thinking patterns?
He encourages us to become aware of our thoughts and to consciously choose thoughts that uplift and empower us.
So it's about recognizing that we have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
We can choose to focus on the good, the beautiful, the true.
Precisely. He suggests that practicing gratitude is key. When we focus on the blessings in our lives, we shift our energy and create a more positive reality.
It's all starting to come together. These principles are all about choosing love over fear, abundance over scarcity, trust over control.
Exactly, and they lead to a more fulfilling, purposeful, and spiritually awakened life.
This is a lot to digest, but it's incredibly inspiring. I'm curious to know how he actually put these principles into practice.
Well, he shares stories about how living by these principles transformed his life, leading to amazing synchronicities, increased abundance, and a deeper connection to his intuition.
So he's a living example of the power of these principles.
Absolutely. He truly believes that as we align with these principles, we open ourselves up to the guidance of the universe and allow synchronicity and abundance to flow into our lives.
It's like we're tuning into a higher frequency.
Exactly. And it's a journey, not a destination. It's about taking small steps each day to align our thoughts, beliefs, and actions with these principles.
So it's not about perfection, but about progress.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And he believes that as we embark on this journey, we're not alone. We have the support of the universe, the guidance of ancient wisdom, and the love and strength of a growing community of like-minded souls.
That's so encouraging. This deep dive has been filled with profound insights, challenging us to rethink how we live our choices and our relationship with the world.
It's a reminder that we have the potential to live a more authentic, meaningful, and fulfilling life, one that's in harmony with our true nature and the rhythms of the universe. And this is where he brings up something really important, the idea of returning to self-sustainability.
Self-sustainability. Interesting.
He says that today, less than 3% of the population is self-sufficient.
Really? That low?
Compared to over 90% just a century ago.
Wow, that's a huge drop. Why do you think that is?
He blames our reliance on these big, complex systems that control things like food, water, and energy.
So we've become dependent on supermarkets, utility companies, the government.
Exactly. We've lost that connection to the natural world, to the source of our sustenance.
And he sees that as a problem.
He thinks it makes us vulnerable, disconnects us from our own power.
But isn't it more efficient to rely on these systems? I mean, specialization and all that?
He argues that it comes at a cost. He talks about how industrial agriculture has led to less nutritious food.
Less nutritious.
He points to studies showing fruits and vegetables from decades ago had way more vitamins and minerals.
That's kind of scary.
It's not just about quantity, but quality. And he also talks about the energetic quality of food.
The energetic quality.
He believes that food grown with love and intention nourishes us on a deeper level.
So the way food is grown impacts its energy.
Exactly. He talks about how some cultures use techniques like dowsing to sense the energy of food.
That's fascinating. I've heard about studies showing how plants respond to human emotions.
Right. It all points to this interconnectedness between us and nature and the power of our intentions.
Okay, so food, but what about other things?
He talks about water, too. How we've accepted the idea of paying for something that should be freely available.
Water is essential for life. It seems strange to think about paying for it.
He sees it as a symptom of our disconnection from nature, allowing corporations and governments to control essential resources.
So what's the solution? Does he expect us all to become farmers and dig wells?
He's not saying we need to do it all overnight, but he encourages us to take small steps towards independence.
Like what? What are some things we can do?
Start with something simple, something enjoyable, like growing herbs in a window box, planting a small garden.
I like that. Starting small and connecting with the earth.
And share your knowledge. Teach others what you know. Create a ripple effect.
It's about building community, right? Supporting each other.
Exactly. He sees a future where communities work together to grow food, share resources, and create a more harmonious relationship with the earth.
That's a beautiful vision, but realistic.
He believes it is. He thinks as more people awaken to the importance of self-sustainability, we can shift the collective consciousness.
It's a big shift, but I can see how it's connected to everything else we've been talking about.
It's all interconnected. He believes self-sustainability is not just practical, but deeply spiritual.
Spiritual? In what way?
He says, as we reconnect with nature and nurture ourselves with our own efforts, we tap into a deeper sense of purpose.
It's about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life.
Exactly. He believes true abundance comes from recognizing the abundance of the natural world, not from material possessions.
So it's about shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance fear, To trust separation to unity.
You got it. He reminds us that we're not meant to spend our lives chasing money or possessions. We're meant to experience the joy of being, to savor the present moment, to connect with the earth and each other.
That's a beautiful message. But making such a big shift can feel overwhelming.
He understands that. But he reminds us that we're not alone. We have the support of the universe, the guidance of ancient wisdom, and a growing community of like-minded people.
It's a reminder that even amidst chaos, there's hope. There's a path forward that leads us back to our true nature.
And he says even small steps can make a difference. Every time we choose to grow our own food, conserve water, support local businesses, we're contributing to a better world.
It's not about being perfect, but about taking action, aligning our lives with our values.
And as we do that, we might be surprised by the synchronicities, the blessings, and the sense of purpose that unfold.
Earlier, we talked about those 4 principles for present living. I'd love to explore those a bit more.
Absolutely. Those principles offer a practical framework for aligning with that deeper wisdom, for breaking free from the limitations of the modern world.
Okay, so let's start with rejecting clock time. What does that actually look like day to day?
It's not about ignoring responsibilities, but about loosening our grip on the clock, becoming more attuned to our natural rhythms and intuition.
So finding a balance between commitments and spontaneity.
He suggests noticing how often we check the clock or feel rushed, and creating space for unstructured time, just being.
This sounds so challenging, but also freeing.
He also suggests things like going for a walk without a destination, letting our intuition guide us.
It's about being present in the moment without the pressure of time.
He reminds us that time is a human construct, not an absolute truth.
We often let time control us, create unnecessary urgency.
And by letting go of our attachment to time, we can savor the present moment without constantly rushing towards the future.
That's a beautiful idea. It's about reclaiming our time and flowing with life's rhythms.
And as we practice rejecting clock time, we become more receptive to our intuition, which operates outside of linear time.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about not counting money? That was a bit tougher.
It gets that, but he says money shouldn't be our primary focus.
Because when we obsess over it, we create a mindset of scarcity.
Exactly. We limit our ability to receive abundance in other forms. Love, joy, creativity, opportunities.
It's like we're saying we don't trust the universe to provide for us.
He wants us to shift our focus to gratitude for what we have and recognize that true abundance comes from within.
From a heart filled with love, appreciation, and generosity.
And he reminds us that the earth provides everything we need. We have a right to access those resources.
We're not meant to live in constant struggle and competition.
We're meant to support each other and live in harmony with abundance. Okay, ready for principle number 3?
Lay it on me.
Abandoning the future.
I'm a planner. I like to know what's coming. How can I just abandon the future?
He's not saying don't plan or set goals, but release your attachment to specific outcomes.
Trust that the universe has a plan even when we can't see it.
Exactly. Worrying about the future steals our joy from the present, the only moment we can control.
It's about surrendering to the flow of life, embracing the unknown.
He says when we let go of control, we open ourselves to possibilities we never imagined.
It's like trusting the universe to guide us on a magical journey.
And that leads us to the final principle, eliminating negative thoughts.
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
He emphasizes that our thoughts create our reality. Negativity attracts more negativity.
So we need to become aware of our thought patterns and choose positive ones.
Exactly. He encourages practicing gratitude, focusing on the blessings in our lives to shift our energy.
It's about recognizing we have a choice in how we think.
These principles are all connected, choosing love over fear, abundance over scarcity, trust over control.
And they lead to a more fulfilling life, a more spiritually awakened life.
He believes that as we align with these principles, we step into a more authentic and meaningful way of being.
It's like we're being invited to step outside the box and reclaim our power, to help create a better world. It's pretty inspiring, even if it can feel a little overwhelming.
He knows it's not easy, both for individuals and as a society, but he emphasizes we're not alone in this.
He talks about support from the spiritual realm, right? From ancient spirits who are guiding us. It's like having a whole team cheering us on behind the scenes. What does he say about how to connect with that support?
He's big on practices like meditation and prayer, ways to quiet the mind and open up to that guidance. And he also says to pay attention to synchronicities, those little nudges you get.
Those moments where things just fall into place.
Exactly. He sees those as messages from our spiritual guides.
So it's about being open and trusting our intuition. Remembering we're not just physical, but spiritual beings too.
That's it. He believes that as we awaken to that spiritual side, we naturally tap into a deeper wisdom. But it's not just about the spiritual realm either. He's also big on human connection.
Coming together as a community.
Yes. He talks about collective intention, how when we unite our hearts and minds, it creates a much stronger force for change. He has this vision of communities working together, growing food, sharing resources, supporting each other.
It's a beautiful vision of a more sustainable and connected world, like going back to a time when people lived in tribes and helped each other out.
Right. He thinks that rediscovering that sense of community can help heal the divisions in our modern world.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. So many insights.
Yeah.
It's a call to wake up to our potential to reconnect with nature, to embrace our spiritual side and create a life that's more fulfilling.
His journey reminds us that we have a choice. We can keep going down the path of separation and fear or choose something different.
A path of unity, abundance. Love, a path back to our true selves. It sounds like a challenge, but a really worthwhile one.
He reminds us we have everything we need already, both inside ourselves and around us. The wisdom of the ancients, the abundance of nature, the power of connection, it's all there if we tap into it.
So as we wrap up, I'm left feeling hopeful and inspired. We're living in times that are asking us to step up and be our best selves.
His message is powerful. It reminds us that we have the power to choose to create a future that reflects our best values.
And if we choose wisely, if we listen to our hearts and to the ancient wisdom, we can create a world our children and grandchildren deserve, a world where everyone can thrive.
It's a beautiful vision, and I think it's possible.
Thank you all for joining us on this journey. I hope it's lit a spark in you, a desire to explore these ideas and take action to create a more beautiful and awakened world.
Remember, you're not alone. There are so many people waking up to these truths and working together to create a brighter future.
Until next time, may you live in alignment with your purpose and help create a world that reflects the beauty and wisdom that's within each of us.